Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be doing a quick three-way comparison with the all-new 2022 Chevy Silverado ZR2, the Ram TRX, and the Ford Raptor. Now before we get in this video, I do want to give a massive shout out and thank you to Jack for giving me some time with his new ZR2. He's actually a salesperson for the Stephen Wade Group here in St. George, Utah. So if you live in Southern Utah and you're looking to purchase a car, I'm going to include his contact info in the description down below. Let's get into the comparison. Now let's pop under the hoods of all of the trucks. So starting here with the ZR2, we have a naturally aspirated 6.2 liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque, with the axle ratio being 3.23. Now popping over here to the TRX, we have a supercharged 6.2 liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 702 horsepower and then 650 pound-feet of torque, with the axle ratio being 3.55. And then popping over to the Raptor, we have a twin-turbo 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque, with the axle ratio being 4.10. Now let's get into the off-road performance specs with all of the trucks. So starting over here with the ZR2, we have 11.2 inches of ground clearance. Going over to the TRX, we have 11.8 inches of ground clearance. And then as for the Raptor, we actually have two different tire options, so we have two different ground clearance amounts. With the 37s that this truck has, we have 13.1 inches. If you get 35s, you have 12 inches of ground clearance. So, lots of cool stuff happening. And obviously they have crazy styling with all of the trucks. So we start here with the Raptor. You can see the venting there at the center of the hood that gives it an aggressive appearance. The gigantic Ford logo here with the marker lights because, well, it's wide enough to need them. And then you can see here with the headlight design, we've got the skid plate that's very prominent with the tow hooks here on a front end perspective. And you can see the fog lights. And then going over to the TRX again, notice aggressive accent here at the hood. You've got the venting there at the center. We also have marker lights here on the TRX. This does have an aftermarket front bumper, so it does kind of change things a little bit. But notice the marker lights there at the center of the venting. We've got the hollow Ram logo. And again, definitely an aggressive appearance. And then popping over to the ZR2, same thing. Notice we've got the black accent piece here at the center portion. And it looks like they kind of copied the TRX because their flow tie is hollow. Notice red toe hooks, so they're very prominent. And then you can see here with the front bumper, you've got the skid plate popping out. And again, they shaped this bumper to help out with ground clearance. And so yeah, from a front end perspective, all of the trucks look really cool. And the next thing I want to dive into quickly is going to be specs with the tires and with the suspension. So starting over here with the ZR2, we've got 33s from the factory. That is the only tire option you can get, 18-inch wheels. Going over to the TRX, we have 18-inch wheels, 35s. That is the only tire option you can get with the TRX. And then popping over to the Raptor, we actually have 17-inch wheels. Now this Raptor has 37s. You can get 35s from the factory. And then if we go from that to suspension, we're not really going to talk too much about the front. We're going to mostly focus on the rear so you guys can see things a little bit better. So here with the Raptor, we have coil suspension in the back end of the truck. We've got the live valve from Fox. And with this whole setup, we've got 14 inches of travel in the back and then 13 in the front. If you get the 35 package, you have 14 in the front and then 15 in the back with the Raptor. Now popping over the TRX, we have the Black Hawk shocks from Bilstein, and then we also have coil suspension here. And this whole setup gives us 13 inches of travel in the front, or in the rear, sorry, and then 13 in the front. So with 37s, the Raptor has the same amount of travel as the TRX with 35s. Popping over to the ZR2, you can see that the ZR2 still utilizes leaf springs. We've got the multi-matic shocks. They're kind of hard to see here, but you can kind of see the top portion right there. They're the DSSV shocks from Multimatic. Now, I can't find official travel figures here with the ZR2, but it sounds like it's around 10 inches roughly in terms of travel with the rear and with the front as well. And you can see just all these trucks definitely have crazy stances. And then while we're here with the exterior, let's talk about styling with all three of these trucks. Starting here with the ZR2, everything on the ZR2 is optimized for ground clearance and for approach and departure angles. So for example, they've got the exhaust tips here that don't poke out the back to help out with the departure angle, and then how the bumper is shaped as well. And this is built off a standard Silverado body, so notice that it's not like crazy wide or anything like that. And the fender flares as well aren't crazy wide, but it still has this cool aggressive appearance. If you look at the TRX on the other hand, this has been optimized for crazy Baja driving. So you have this huge wide body, as you can see here, and don't worry, this is my truck, that's why I'm tapping on it like that. Obviously got the aggressive venting, but what this does is gives it a much wider stance, so that's going to help out with high speed stability with the truck. And you can see from a height perspective with all these trucks, they're actually pretty close with each other. And then popping over to the Raptor, again, you guys can see here with it, notice we've got this massive fender flare. You can see quite a bit of gap there with the tire and the wheel well, but notice massive fender flare. But notice the fender itself isn't as wide as what they had with the Gen 2. So it still has that wide body appearance just like the TRX, but it's not nearly as wide as what it used to be. And you can see especially here in the rear, just look at the difference with the fenders. But notice the Raptor fender flares are definitely a lot bigger. And so again, overall they all have this cool sporty off-road appearance, but it's kind of like a mix. So you have this is like the most normal looking, even though it's still crazy aggressive. The TRX is like the craziest, widest looking one, and then the Raptor is kind of in between in a sense, which is very strange to say. Now let's pop to the interiors with all the trucks. We're gonna go from 33s to 37s from an interior perspective. So starting here with the ZR2, you can see with the interior, notice they've done the gray with the neon stitching here. These seats have been optimized to be easy to clean off, which is another big benefit of the ZR2. Tons of legroom back there, by the way. And then notice the front door panel here. You can see the stitching. And then here are the front seats. So you can see here with the bolsters. And then notice the design in the center. And then your power adjustments there on the side. And we'll actually pop in quickly, start her up. Ooh. Pretty fun. Notice all the controls here. So this has 4-wheel auto as well as 4-wheel high. 2-wheel drive. That's important to mention. We do have a drive mode select, several different drive modes. And then here's kind of like the steering wheel setup. Again, this is just a quick review, so I'm not going to deep dive into anything in particular. But here's a quick look at the digital gauge cluster. And then you can see here with the infotainment system. I love the camera system on the ZR2. Shows like every single angle on it. And then you can see all the controls down here. Big thing with the ZR2 is it has a rear locker as well as front and rear lockers. Heated, cooled seats, dual zone climate, you know, all that stuff. And you can see the center console here with the shifter, and then notice paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel, which is pretty cool. Camera mirror, another nice feature, and then sunroof here at the top, power sliding window, you know, all that normal truck stuff. But popping from that over to the TRX, which is in the middle because again, 35s, all right? It's got the middle size for the tires, so here's that door panel. Open up this one. Man, I'm so disorganized with this video, but we'll go with it. Notice tons of really nice materials. Got carbon fiber, Alcantara, you got leather. See, the TRX definitely has gone for like that luxury appearance from an aesthetic perspective. Heated, cooled seats for the back passengers, right? The ZR2 only had heated seats. So again, more towards that luxury side of things. Same thing here with the front door panel. Got the Harman Kardon sound system. The ZR2 has like the Bose blind spot mounting for the mirrors, and then you can see here with the front seats. Similar in terms of like the openness with the bolsters, right? With the TRX. Then popping in. Ooh, gotta love that sound, right? Gotta love that sound. So, notice here with the steering wheel, again, from a material standpoint, again, more towards that like luxury side. You got like Alcantara too, towards the sports side. Carbon fiber. Look at these paddle shifters here on the back. And then notice here with the gauge cluster here. So you've got analog gauges on either side, and then you can see there with the screen in the center. And then we have a bunch of different drive modes. So the ZR2 just has like off-road modes and a normal mode. This has, you know, on-road drive modes like your sport mode, for example, but then it has a bunch of off-road modes as well. Camera system's great with the TRX. Not as good as the ZR2, I will admit that. It's got a bunch of different camera views, but the screen isn't as big with the like camera view itself, and it just not as many shots. Now, important with the TRX, this is the only truck here that doesn't have 2-wheel drive. It has 4-wheel auto, 4-wheel high, 4-wheel low, but no 2-wheel drive. Has launch control, which is pretty cool. And then it just has a locker in the rear. As you can see, we don't have a front locker like the ZR2. And then see with the rest of the material use here throughout. And then we have a camera mirror, just like the ZR2. And then we have a full panoramic sunroof. We've got power sliding window there in the rear. So again, lots of nice luxury features. And man, I am gonna be in shape after this video. Popping over here to the Raptor to kind of cap things off. Open up both the door panels here. Now this is pretty interesting what they've done from an interior perspective. It's kind of more towards like the sporty side of things. So notice we've got these blue seats here, right? And you can see like the Alcantara on them. Heated seats for the rear passengers. Tons of space. All the trucks have tons of rear space. Same thing here with the front. And then there is some carbon fiber trim, again, towards the sports side. You got the blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. Bose sound system. Bang & Olufsen, sorry. Bose is in the ZR2. We're going to keep that in the video because I'm an idiot and that's funny. Bang & Olufsen sound system with the Raptor. But notice here with the seats, these are the most aggressive seats out of the bunch. And then notice we got a bunch of controls here. Like the lights, the pedals, all that. And hopefully John Jenks has the radio off. I'll just keep twisting the dial so we don't get copyright infringement. But full digital gauge cluster, just like the ZR2. And then you can see here with the steering wheel, look at how aggressive this steering wheel is. This is definitely the most like sporty steering wheel out of the bunch. And then giant paddle shifters here. And then there's a bunch of customizations on the Raptor. You can customize the steering, the suspension, and the exhaust all on the steering wheel. You can customize that stuff from the TRX, but it's all through the infotainment system in the custom drive mode, whereas you can customize stuff individually here with the Raptor, so that's a big difference. And just like the TRX, the Raptor has a bunch of, well, the drive modes are right here, but a bunch of on-road drive modes and then a bunch of off-road drive modes as well. From a camera perspective, this is like the second best camera, so the TRX is technically the worst, because this has just as many views as the TRX, but it's bigger because it takes up the whole screen. So the ZR2 has the best camera system, this has the second best, and then the Raptor, or sorry, the TRX has the worst camera system. Great infotainment system, massive. Just like the TRX, it only has a rear locker, but this has two-wheel drive as well as four-wheel auto and four-wheel high. So we're matching there. Dual zone climate controls, heated cooled seats, and then you can see the whole center console setup here. No camera mirror though, that's interesting. And then we've got all of our auxiliary switches here at the top, full panoramic sunroof, power sliding window. So interesting. Now before we cap off this video, we got to quickly talk about pricing. So we'll kind of go in order from lowest to highest. So the ZR2 stickers are about $71,000, how this one's spec'd out. This Raptor stickers for about $82,000, and then this TRX stickers for about $95,000. So there's quite a big price difference, especially between the TRX and the ZR2. Now let's get some things up with our comparison between all three of these trucks just from a spec perspective. Now this is in preparation for our off-road comparison, so if you're not subscribed already, I'd recommend subscribing so you guys can see that off-road video as soon as it is posted. And with that being said, I will see all of you guys in that next video.